one letter or one word of his policies would mean the destruction of this great republic. I have, I believe, avoided the delusion that this is a campaign of persons or of personalities to indulge in such a fantastic idea.
The big affair began before I knew where I was at. I found myself upon a shelf, and that was that. I tried to reach the moon, but when I got there, all that I could get was the air. My feet are back upon the ground. I've lost the one girl I found.
During the time frame between 1932 to 1936, the BBC World Service began broadcasting. This was the birth of television, and this was the decade that changed everything. BBC Radio went from strength to strength with the brand new broadcasting house, which opened in 1932. Also in 1932, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was formed under the ruler of Ibn Saud. During World War II, between 1939 to 1945, Franklin Roosevelt was president. World War II was the most expensive war. When Hitler was in charge, he created more and more armies in Germany and turned the country into a dictatorship.
Third, which was to finally consolidate the power of the Hitler Youth. In June 1934, in the belief that the SA was plotting a revolt against his authority, Hitler had most of its leaders executed, including his friend, Captain Röhm.
Direct result of the First World War, due to unresolved tensions and anger from that conflict. However, the Great Depression of the 1930s was another factor that led to bitterness and a shift in public attitudes towards strict dictatorships. World War I also facilitated the rise of Adolf Hitler and his Nazi Party. Hitler's allies in Italy and Japan also acted aggressively with the hope of expanding their territories. Hostilities by these countries towards the communism of the Soviet Union was just another factor that helped lead to war. In fact, a number of ideologies helped spark the war. Aggressive expansionism by countries like Germany and Italy, fascist dictatorships, and deep-seated racism were all considered contributing factors. This racism was mostly in Germany, where the Nazis believed the Aryan race was the master race and superior to the Slavic people. The countries that eventually formed the Allied Alliance acted passively in the face of the Axis threat. This was partly out of sympathy, partly out of guilt because of the Treaty of Versailles that blamed the Germans for World War I, and partly because countries like Britain underestimated Hitler. Meanwhile, the League of Nations proved itself ineffective in the fight to keep the peace. A few months after Japan withdrew from the League of Nations in 1933, Germany did the same.
Also in 1932, the Great Depression took place due to the market crash in 1929. The Great Depression ended up causing many weaknesses in the economy. There was overproduction and drought.
They had nowhere to turn but to their families, their friends, and the kindness of strangers. They had no idea when it would end, how it would end, or even if it would end.
Now it's done. Brother, can you spare a dime? Once in khaki suits, gee, we look swell.
Of the Great Depression, America was poor in the Great Depression. Millions without jobs in every profession. How will we eat was a daily question. What are all the lessons of the Great Depression? Before the Great Depression, everything seemed great. It was the roaring 1920s, people liked to celebrate. A lot of food on the plate, and there was money to make. Factories were selling automobiles like hotcakes, not to mention household appliances and radios. Flashy things, the economy was based on those. But the problem was that if times got tough, people weren't gonna buy luxuries and all that stuff. And if you can't buy what you usually do, then the people who sell those things lose their jobs too, and then they can't buy. It's like a domino effect. So there were hidden dangers, though things seemed perfect. America was
During 1932, the cost for living in a new house was at least $6,000. Average cost per year was $1,000. Cost of gas was 10 cents. Average cost to rent your home was $18 per month. A loaf of bread was only 7 cents. Sugar was $1.25 for 25 pounds. In conclusion, to my great-grandmother, May Walker, she will be truly missed. She was here through it all, from the ups and downs with the Great Depression to Franklin Roosevelt being president. My great-grandmother was born July 20th, 1932, and she passed April 20th of 2019. Thank you for watching.